Dude, there's this one video, and this is not about Marvel Rivals, but why 6v6 will not save Overwatch. And this is a video that was made what is it? This is made by like kind of a hold on. I'm subscribed to him. But I've been subbed to this guy for like years. See if I can find him, bro. Holy. There he is. Here it is. 6v6 won't fix Overwatch. And I didn't actually watch I haven't watched the video yet, but this is a guy that, I mean, shout out to this guy. He makes really good content. Super fucking underrated. Yeah, but I was curious about this because I feel like obviously, you know, Marvel Rivals is kind of in the spotlight right now. But for a lot of people, 6v6 is kind of like it's just gonna save Overwatch. And I think people think a little bit bigger than that, but I have thought more about it. Like, my philosophy has changed a lot now that I've played Marvel Rivals on Overwatch's issues. And to be honest, the more I think about it, the more they need to figure out what is one tank, what is their job to do? Is their job to tank cooldowns? Is it like to make space? Is it to be a stronger DPS? It's kind of like, I feel like a lot of tanks, they try to give them everything, and it either doesn't work or it makes them feel oppressive and annoying. But it's not fun to play it because you're getting all of these cooldowns hit on you. And if that's what you're supposed to do, I think they should give tanks a little bit more like resilience, like make it fun to tank damage. But I'm curious, 6v6 won't fix Overwatch. I'm curious, so yeah, we're just gonna react to the video, and yeah.
6v6 will fix Overwatch, a belief I firmly disagree with. I know, that sounds like a hot take at first, but
interesting, he also made this video when
I don't believe
Marvel Rivals is like
one of them. Of course, there's arguments to be made about the pros and cons of 5v5 versus 6v6, which I will talk about, but there's no easy solution to any of this. Instead of only talking about 5v5 versus 6v6, I want to talk about some of the other issues the game has at the moment and throwing out some ideas about how I think those issues can be potentially fixed. The unfortunate reality is that lots of players just don't have fun with Overwatch anymore, and I think the positive reception to Marvel Rivals says a lot about what Overwatch is doing wrong right now. There's plenty of reasons as to why Overwatch 2 is struggling to keep some players interested. The rampant cheating, the cancellation of PvE, and lots of fewer...
Is cheating that crazy, chat? Is cheating really that bad? Because I'll be honest, I see like videos about like, oh, spectating cheaters and all this crap. I do not see cheaters. I've maybe run into one cheater ever. I don't, and I have played a ton of ranked. I do not run into cheaters ever. But I play on PC. I've played on console and PC. I don't find cheaters in my games at all. Oh.
Were updates in content each season due to the staff cuts.
Just look at the difference between the invasion season and...
This is what I was gonna bring up. That's probably the big... I think the two big things are the gameplay and just we are not getting content. At all. Like, I'll be honest, I actually didn't even think the content thing was that bad since I still had fun with Overwatch. But then, kind of coming to Marvel Rivals, I have sort of realized, like, holy, we are just like we are like Marvel Rivals, like we are spoiled compared to Overwatch, bro. And again, it's not their fault. It's a constant staff. I don't blame Team 4. I think they're doing the best they can. Well, okay, I think arguably they could be using what they have a little bit more efficiently and maybe in a different direction, but I don't know.
Season 14, it's somehow been getting progressively worse. This shit is straight up embarrassing.
I don't know why this image is so low, but yeah, this is bad. This is bad. A starter pack is considered in the content for this season. Obviously, we do have Hazard. We have the 6v6 modes, but that's it. That's it, man.
Of course, these issues.
This might be the worst season for content we've gotten, actually.
They're still not
it's
the
pretty
main
bad
problem.
this season.
And just to reiterate, neither is the 5v5 format, despite what a lot of people say. 6v6 isn't going to change the fundamental problems the game is having right now. In reality, 6v6 can't change the inherently flawed game design. In my opinion,
is it? I think I disagree with this, because I think a lot of the tanks they could be reworked. And a lot of them we already know how to go back, but a lot of the newer tanks I think could be easily reworked to have their own place. I think the only I think Malga would be pretty difficult, and I mean honestly, dude, with more people, Roadhog isn't even that bad. I think Malga to Orisa would be pretty tough.
the real issue lies in Blizzard's design and balancing decisions with the characters.
Malga specifically, though, yeah.
Feedback, they keep making changes that just.
I think Hazard probably works great in 66. I've played him. He does work fine.
The game is so unbalanced that fixing it would require drastic character overhauls, which would completely upend the meta. Overwatch has been so unbalanced for so long that at this point, the level of unbalance with.
See, I'll be honest, dude. This shit honestly has started to piss me off. Of the quote, Overwatch is not balanced. It's low-key kind of dumb. It's low-key kind of dumb. Because, one, people are praising Marvel Rivals right now for making everyone they all feel like superheroes. Because they're all, quote, super unbalanced. Which I have my own shit with that. Because it's like, if everything is unbalanced, then nothing is unbalanced. But I digress. To an extent, well, I see what they mean. Everyone is able to make plays on each other. A lot of characters feel like they have a really strong ult. So it's like when you use your ult, you feel like you're getting a ton of crazy shit. It's like, oh, that ult is broken. All this shit, which is a good feeling. Overwatch is a pretty balanced game, bro. It really is a pretty balanced game. At the top end, yes. But when they say people just complain about the balance because it's like, if anything feels frustrating, then it's like, oh, that's broken. That needs to be nerfed. And it's like, I think a lot of those frustrations are brought out in the 5v5 format, to be honest. The balance team now, they have made some bad shit, but it's honestly, the game is not even that unbalanced, dude.
Within the character roster has been completely normalized within the community. People just accept that the roster is completely unbalanced and they will just play whatever they have to just to win. These changes might...
I don't think that's true at all. I do not think that's true at all. I think there are things that are stronger than other things. Of course, that happens in any game. That is what a meta is. And a lot of meta, a lot of... Maybe not as much, but honestly, a lot of characters are somewhat map dependent. I think it's different with supports because most supports kind of get played everywhere. Juno Brig, I think is still really strong and still getting played everywhere. But something on Anubis or something, you're not gonna be playing fucking Ram or Mei. But on Circuit Royale, First Point, yeah, you're going to be playing Mei. But then you won't see Mei other maps. I feel like that proves, a map-based meta, that's fine. Even something like Marvel Rivals, hero bans are a big thing. And I think this is something that really Overwatch should adapt to the game. Because I think hero bans, if you play comp and you are in Diamond, I think most people can agree hero bans are probably arguably the best thing Marvel Rivals has done. I don't think it is. I think Marvel Rivals has done a lot of things that are great. A ton. I mean, I'm addicted to the game, but definitely I think this notion that Overwatch is a quote unbalanced game and people somehow get mad at that, but then also proceed to praise Marvel Rivals for quote being unbalanced, I think is a stupid double standard.
the game, but they'd also upset a lot of players, forcing Blizzard into damage control mode. Both the players and the developers will just have to pick their poison. So then, what exactly needs to change for Overwatch 2 to have a healthy,
see, if people said
future?
if one of his solutions is better balance
To
team,
explain what I mean, let's quickly go over the roles in the game and what their purpose within the game is. In Overwatch 2,
I'm
each
curious
team
actually.
has 5 players split into 3 roles: 1 tank, 2 supports, and 2 DPS, aka damage per second. The tank's job is to protect the team and take down potential threats. And by doing
protect the team and take. Okay,
so,
hold on, let me hear it
creating
all.
space for their team to make plays and win the game. Naturally, tanks have higher health pools than most other characters, ranging from
325 for Ramatra,
to a massive
625 for Wrecking Ball.
think of
Okay, that's such a poor example. Like, come on, man.
Reinhardt's shield or Zarya's bubble, classic examples of how tanks should be designed to control the game and protect the team. Abilities designed to stop aggression from enemies and control the pace of the game. Think of the tank as the columns that keep the building from collapsing. But here's the problem. Thanks to the way DPS and support characters are built, most tanks can barely do their job anymore. I'd say DPS is arguably the most straightforward role out of all of them. Your objective is pretty plain and simple. Do as much damage and get as many kills as humanly possible. Naturally, these characters are designed to do the most damage out of any other role, and their kits are meant for that explicit purpose. Within the dynamics of a team fight, it's up to the DPS to carefully pick the right targets to kill, or prioritize the proper targets that will put the enemy team at a disadvantage if killed. People always say that your priority as a DPS should be to kill supports first, and on paper that is true. Killing the team's healers gives them less room to
generally
win
it's a
fights,
lot
since they
harder.
don't
I
have
feel like
anyone
it's
to
easier to
kill them.
generally kill a
Granted,
DPS.
team fights
Usually
don't always
depends
go
on
that way, and Overwatch is never truly that simple, but I digress.
Of course,
Supports are teammates who have to be the most flexible
The game is really difficult. It really is. It's a really difficult game.
out of anyone else on the team. However, a huge percentage of the player base confuses what the real purpose of a support is. A support's job is to heal teammates who are low health to ensure the team's survival, while also doing additional damage and potentially getting the kills that the rest of your team can't. You have to keep an eye on your teammates and be ready to
See, I would argue this. I don't think, and this is something I've gotten from Marvel Rivals, I don't think supports, and this is personally me, I play a lot, like my most played character is Cloak and Dagger. I honestly think that support shouldn't necessarily be expected to do damage. I think it's fine. Like, I think characters like Alara supports that do damage aren't bad, but I think support should be much more in the healing and utility. Less like, I heal you, but then also I'm expected to go kill stuff. Because I think that leaves a lot of pressure on players. Like, people don't, and I don't like saying this either, but people, like, 5v5 objectively gives DPS and support players more agency over the game. It's so much easier to carry in 5v5 and 6, like, compared to 6v6. It's a big difference. But I would argue I think a lot of players actually don't want that. I feel like people love the team aspect of the game. That's what makes it fun, and obviously that still exists in 5v5, but I think to a big less extent because you don't have another tank there. He also said for the tanks, you make space by like protecting your team and dealing damage. I don't think that's. I think that's. I mean, I guess. I mean that's true. That's true.
to help them out of a bad situation at any moment.
I don't know. I think to me, it's maybe it's simplifying. I guess.
Are designed
I
to
feel
keep
like
the rest of
maybe
the team and themselves alive for as long as possible, but at the cost of doing their
back a little
notice. If the supports are caught lacking at any time, the team loses. These characters are designed to keep the rest of the team and themselves alive for as long as possible, but at the cost of doing the least damage out of any other role, which is why they're the main targets for DPS characters. The odds of them winning a 1v1 fight against a DPS is supposed to be lower since they're more fragile. That's the trade-off of having abilities that heal and
I think that's fair, but I think support, it is fun it is like there is good to have nuance of supports having.
Keyword supposed to. This role is arguably the most crucial role of them all because the team needs its backbone if they want to stand up straight, right? Overwatch is a game with many layers beneath the surface, which is one of the many reasons why people love this game, including me. And the role system is a big reason for that. Unfortunately, the harsh reality is that these roles don't matter. Okay, of course, that's not necessarily true, but the way a lot of the cast have been designed or redesigned for this game negates the flow of the game that
I think
these
I
roles
see what
offer
he's trying to
and
say
has
here.
effectively damaged the team dynamics of the game. As a lot of you might know, at the very core of this issue is the support role, but support isn't the main issue of the game like many players would have you believe. The imbalance is also very much apparent within the tank and DPS roles as well. But first, let's discuss what the main issue with support is. Supports basically do the job of the tank and the DPS at
I think that's not a balance thing. That's just I think the supports are in a 5v5 format kind of have to be more like this. Like I don't really think they can be, because in a 5v5 format, like if your support like essentially you could say half your team by almost this, if they were just pretty much there to essentially sit there and heal all time, then it would just leave to like literally the game is just kill the supports first.
at the same time. The potential output of a lot of support characters are pretty similar, if not on par with DPS characters. Baptiste is literally a boss character with multiple phases that can buff his own damage. On top of this, lots of support abilities like Kiriko Suzu, Baptiste Lamp, Life Grip, etc. essentially do the job of the tank without any risk. This allows people to play recklessly, knowing
Well, okay, I would disagree. I don't necessarily think a tank should have. I think yeah, you could argue Immortality Field is a bad mechanic. I've gone back and forth in it. I think Immortality Field maybe is an issue, but I think Suzu is fine. I think they're both very, very strong abilities, but I also think that it's like kind of, I think it creates like mind games that I think are kind of interesting.
they can put themselves in bad positions and not be punished because their supports can get them out for free. In higher level play, this doesn't happen as often because those players are much better at the game, but it doesn't mean the design isn't inherently flawed. These abilities are designed to get teammates out of sticky situations, which is exactly what we talked about earlier, except all the depth has been completely removed from playing this role. If you use these abilities properly, it basically ends up like a get out of jail free card that can be used pretty often, which makes the effort of the DPS feel completely pointless at times. I'm not saying I need these characters to be extremely difficult, but the risk reward dynamic in Overwatch is much lower for support players. I mean, look, we all know the difference between living the good support life and fighting for your life as a tank or DPS. However,
I think that's kind of just, I think it would be maybe cool if they maybe, and I think this is true in Rivals as well, most healing in Rivals is pretty it's pretty simple. Especially in Rivals, the support role is a lot more dumbed down than it is in Overwatch. Like, in Overwatch, they are support characters. In Rivals, they are healers. Almost every single support in that game, just heal bots. Luna Snow, heal bots. Cloak and Dagger, heal bots. Jeff, heal bots. Rocket, heal bots. Honestly, I'm trying to think of one who doesn't. I think the only one really that doesn't is Adam Warlock, and I think that's just because Adam Warlock, it plays like a Overwatch support. But then I think also it comes with maybe the Overwatch frustrations a little bit, where you have stuff like Soulbound, a super strong ability. There's kind of like a get out of jail free card, or the chain beams like healing him as well. Again, I don't want to draw comparisons too much, but I will draw a few comparisons though. I guess I am backtracking what I just said, because I feel like the perception of Marvel Rivals, I think we got to break down. Marvel Rivals is so fun. Why is it so fun? And obviously it's a very loaded question. But I'm just comparing these two roles. There was a lot more in Overwatch 2 currently. There was a lot. It is a lot more difficult to play support in that game than it is in Marvel Rivals. In Marvel Rivals, you just heal bot. Like, you literally just heal bot on it, which I don't like. Quote heal bot. Like, I have fun heal botting. Like, I think Marvel, like, a lot of the support kits make heal botting interesting and like unique. Like, a lot of times to me, it's like a game of like, oh, I got to keep everyone alive, but I also got to make sure I keep myself alive. Like, that is, like, that game sounds simple, but then it's like, oh, they're playing dive, they're playing a Spider-Man. I got to like make sure I have my cloak dash, or hey, maybe I can go up and get a pick here. But I got to make sure the healing is there. Like, healing, I think I just like I don't know. There's definitely a difference of the nuances is a lot lower.
However,
In the two
supports
games.
aren't the only role that are at fault for the game being the way it is. When you really boil it down, tanks are essentially glorified DPS, and that leaves the actual DPS characters in a weird limbo state. Of course, tanks should be able to do plenty of damage. After all, who can you protect if you can't pressure the enemy into playing defensively, right? With the way a lot of the tanks are being played nowadays,
Honestly, in my eyes, I see the vision of what they want the game to be.
They also have more health and have better defense.
But it doesn't really work.
DPS in a weird spot where they have to get most of the damage or kills to serve their function, but they're not even the best at doing just that. Within the DPS and tank roles also exists a heavily unbalanced roster of characters that forces a meta of counter picking in order to win. One can argue that being able to swap characters is one of the things that makes Overwatch as interesting as it is, which is true. The problem with the counter swapping meta is that the community will always inevitably play the same team comps because they know what the best ones are. There's hardly a point in maining a specific character if you're always forced to play rock, paper, scissors anyways. If you've ever watched any professional Overwatch competitions, then you'll realize that 9 times out of 10, matches tend to be mirror matches with both teams playing the exact same characters because the lack of balance doesn't support any experimentation. Why have fun playing your favorite characters when...
I mean, I think you could argue lack of balance here a little bit, because I think maybe if certain things aren't so strong, then like I don't know what time period. This is the championship series. I mean, this, like, the comp, I think it's more just like on certain maps, yeah, there is just this comp is the best comp. Like, I don't think like we just saw different maps. The same stuff wasn't played on the same maps. Like, this is Brawl, but in that other one,
to the ones who are actually relevant in the current meta. And if your favorite characters happen to be the current meta, then you get to enjoy the mirror match because the enemy team will most likely end up playing those characters too. Now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, I want to talk about how Marvel Rivals might tackle some of these issues. Of course, the game is not perfect and also suffers from a lot of these issues, but still does a better job at combating them than Overwatch is doing right now. Let's take Rocket Raccoon and Adam Warlock as examples of good character design in the support role. Rocket has an ability called the Battle Rebirth Beacon, or the BRB for short. The BRB is a beacon that Rocket deploys that can revive one dead teammate, that also periodically produces armor, and it also refreshes his Rocket jetpack cooldown. On the surface, it sounds like a broken ability since it has multiple functions that might give your team a significant advantage, but here's where the depth comes in. The BRB can be very easily seen by the enemy team and can be destroyed pretty quickly since it doesn't have a lot of health. The obvious thing to do here is placing it somewhere that isn't within the line of sight for enemies, but putting it too far away can be consequential since it might take your teammates some crucial time to get back into the fight where they might have been needed to.
Well, also you need to be in range of it.
If someone gets revived by the beacon or it gets destroyed, the cooldown is 45 seconds, which may not sound like a lot, but in game, that is a huge amount, and the entire momentum of a game can change in those few moments. You can place it early in the fight if you think there's a chance someone on your team
Rivals has so many of these. The cooldowns are insanely long. Like, I think the longest cooldown in Overwatch, I believe, is Mercy Res. It's like a 30-second cooldown, but Rivals has so like literally They have a 3-minute cooldown or
die
some
first,
shit with
or you can
Stranger's
save it
Portal.
until after someone already dies if your team
And
trusts you. If you're careless with this ability,
I
it can
haven't
potentially cost you
fixed my
fights.
stance,
So
like
you
figured
have
out
to
my
judge the
stance on
situation
that. I think
appropriately
honestly
and
though,
hope that you made the right
I'm
decision.
leaning
Adam
more
Warlock's
towards it's
ultimate
kind of
ability
cool.
is called Karmic Revival, where Adam casts a spell to revive all fallen teammates within a span of 10 seconds, but they will have a third of their health back, so the team will have to be careful in not making reckless decisions that could waste the opportunity the revive has given you. The teammates will also have a brief period of invincibility after being revived as well. Like Rocket's BRB, it'll be up to the player to have the correct judgment in deciding when the time is right to bring the team back. If done correctly, not only will you waste a potentially game-changing ultimate, but within the casting time, Adam can be easily shot down and killed. Of course, this ultimate is clearly influenced from Overwatch 1 Mercy's Mass Revive ultimate, where she could revive the entire team in a similar fashion. However, Mercy's version has a lot less depth. There are far less consequences in the Mass Revive and was much easier to pull off successfully. There used to be so many clips of the entire team dying and a Mercy flying in out of nowhere and reviving the team very easily. Look, I'm sorry to the Overwatch 1 players. You can say what you want about your game being peak, but that's boring and not fun to fight at all. Did I mention that everyone would also get all their health back as well, so they're free to go do whatever they want afterwards? Current Mercy doesn't have a mass revive, but instead a singular revive like Rocket's BRB, except it's a normal ability and not an ultimate. You can revive one teammate and they come back to full health, which is a fine downgrade, but lacks the risk-reward dynamic that Rocket's BRB or Adam Warlock.
Well, no, I mean, not really, because a lot of times Mercy is put into you're kind of risking yourself in position, sort of. I see what he means though. It's like BRB, if they do destroy it, it's difficult. It's difficult, I guess, to sorry. If they destroy it, then like you can't get any value out of it for 45 seconds. Mercy Res, I think, is the same thing, but I see what he means where, like, one, it's a shorter cooldown, but also, you know, there's a little bit less, like, let me think where I can put this to where the enemies are. Because the health pack it gives aren't very big, but I'm pretty sure there is a range on how long it works. So you can't just put it very far away and someone just gets revived. I think it is, like, you have to be close. So
Warlock's ultimate has. There's plenty of other examples I could go over.
I agree. Adam Warlock's ultimate is actually
a lot of the characters
super,
in Marvel are just more interesting.
It's a really unique unique balance thing, and I'm surprised like Overwatch honestly never experimented with it. But I think the thing about it is like it kind of like his res works so well with his kit. Like, not only does he obviously have the cocoon passive, but also he has a chain heal that does high burst amounts of healing. He has soulbound. Like, he can do he has bursts of like large healing, and it's perfect for that. Something like if Mercy's mass res put everyone at the low HP that Adams does, it wouldn't be very good and wouldn't be very fun because like everyone would just die because Mercy's kit doesn't work the same way as Adams does. So
versions of what Overwatch has to offer. Obviously, Marvel Rivals is
I think another good example of a cool
far from it actually. But the roles are a lot more defined in this game and actually do their intended purpose without being overshadowed by anyone else. DPS characters don't get out damaged by the other roles, and tanks are still powerful while not being too weak or too strong. Supports still do enough damage to protect themselves and get extra kills here and there without doing it better than the DPS. Of course, you can argue that Marvel is a newer game that witnessed Blizzard's mistakes in Overwatch that they could learn from, but isn't that precisely what Overwatch 2 was for in the first place? No amount of changes to maps or collab skins or 6v6 can change the fact that the team doesn't actually listen to what the community is saying about the game and is giving us what they think we want. I can't be the only one who feels like they're testing out 6v6 modes just to shut us up. It's like my big brother passing me the unplugged Xbox controller just to make me stop crying or something.
I don't like to look at it as a cynical way. I think the dev blog they released a while back honestly was a pretty good honesty thing, where it's like, genuinely, if most people prefer the 6v6, I think they absolutely will go back to 6v6. but there are a ton of new Overwatch 2 players. Like, honestly, I played Overwatch 1. I played a lot of it, but I've played way more Overwatch. Like, I probably put in like 150 hours to Overwatch 1. I came in pretty late, like 2018, 2019. I came around the time when Sigma and Echo were released. That was my time frame. And I have played a lot more Overwatch 2, and I feel like, honestly, I could see a lot of players enjoying what they know more than what they didn't. Like, they might enjoy the 5v5 more. Like, DPS players, something like a Tracer player probably prefers it more. Like, I do understand his points, because like I said, I think a big issue is sort of like the like maybe fun, like the fundamentals, or maybe what all the roles are supposed to do have kind of shifted a little bit. I think everything except DPS has changed a lot, and it leaves it so DPS kind of gets shafted, because in the 5v5 format, supports have to be able to defend themselves a little bit. Otherwise, like, yeah, they just do. Because otherwise DPS or dive or whatever is just going to shit all over them. And having constant escape abilities is just like not fun. They like supports kind of in the 5v5 format kind of need to be able to duel. So they like all of their damage is kind of up. And then tanks, if they're getting shit on, like they need to be even more tanky. Because right now they just haven't put a solution in place that is able to fix it. They need to be more tanky. And then also it feels like shit if you can't kill anything as a tank. Like Reinhardt, if he's like hitting everyone with, like, he has 10,000 HP, but then has a toy hammer that does 2 damage, like, just not fun. Like, if these tanks are super crazy, but also you want to be able to feel like you have impact on tank, like you want to kill things. So the like damage numbers need to be up, and it just makes it so DPS just don't get anything. And they released something, the DPS passive, which I think is overall gone to show like its downsides, but at least short term, it was pretty good, because it gave them a role of the fact now DPS are able to shred through like healing in this game. I think the core issue is
good changes sprinkled in throughout the season.
Is the fact that in the 5v5 format forces the rules to change in a way I feel like that is not fun for a lot of people. I think there are people that do like the more support now, like the more like damage and more like playmaking. Maybe not playmaking, because you can make playmakes in 6v6, but in 5v5 you just have a little bit more like individual impact. They probably like that more. Maybe not. Like I said, I think that maybe I like just heal botting. Like genuinely, I just am like, I want to just play support. I want to just support my team, and I just want to keep them alive. That's fine. In Overwatch, you can't really be doing that. You can't just be like, I'm going to heal all game, otherwise you're kind of throwing. Like, the roles just like, their definition has to be changed in 5v5, and I think it's caused tanks and supports. The format has caused tanks and supports to shift in the way they have, and then DPS are kind of left with the short end of the stick, where it's like, fuck. But then it's also like tanks are like also not fucking fun. Like,
deny that, but it's so hard to focus on the good hits when the batting average is so low.
Pitch to Pablo, there goes Belt. The pitch is inside. The throw down to second base goes in.
Batting average is so low.
Pitch to Pablo, there goes Belt. The pitch is inside. The throw down to second base.
I think that's what you could say. Like 6v6, the ballot, genuine. Like the thing is, that game, it's not even really balanced if they didn't get balance patches. Like they got balance patches like for months. Or like the Overwatch 1 balance team, yes, they were fucking horrible. And you could look at their track record and see they did not know how to adjust anything. They did not know anything about the game. Like, nothing. The new team, they have shown that, one, they are able to address issues. And two, like, they're not stupid all the time. Granted, they are stupid sometimes. The last one, I think, that had Orisa, Malga, all that crap, yeah, that was pretty fucking dumb. But
there's a reason why characters like Orisa, Widowmaker, Lucio, or Winston always inevitably fall in and out of the meta. The character design philosophies are inconsistent, and it's caused the game to be unbalanced for years now.
Wait, what?
Orisa, Widowmaker, Lucio, or Winston always
I think the only one, like, I think Winston and Lucio, I think, until Juno has changed it because Juno has provided finally some competition. But for most of Overwatch 2 and a lot of Overwatch 1, Lucio was just required in a lot of comps. So I don't really think that's true at all. Winston, I don't think Winston has ever been bad in Overwatch 2. Winston is usually the best tank, if not like second or third. Winston is always good. Widowmaker, I mean, it's just map dependent, kind of, but Widowmaker has never been bad either. Only really, I forgot when, there was one point where Widow was maybe like a B tier. That's it. And Orisa's just a complete, like, her kit is just like, it just makes it so it's not fun to play against.
Inevitably fall in and out of the meta. The character design philosophies are inconsistent, and it's caused the game to be unbalanced for years now. The fired employees and the absolute gut punch of the cancelled PvE mode that was promised to us for years. I don't know what it means to be unbalanced. Look at the season that just dropped. It's basically just a battle pass. And I hate to continue comparisons, but Marvel Rivals dropped 4 new characters within a week during a beta. A fucking beta. Meanwhile, we get a new Overwatch
Their team is so much bigger.
Every 3 months. Unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure if the necessary changes will ever be made.
In defense, 1, the team is so much bigger. 2, they already have, like, Overwatch has to make their characters from the ground up. Marvel Rivals has a lot they can take from. Like, Hazard is a completely brand new, like, character, like, never before seen character. Spider-Man, we all fucking know who Spider-Man is. It's probably the biggest superhero in the world, if not like Batman.
But 6v6 certainly isn't the answer to the problems the game currently faces. Lots of players may have enjoyed the game more at the time than they are now, but it doesn't mean Overwatch 2 will be better for it. Don't get me wrong, I think it's perfectly reasonable to have a separate 6v6 mode if people really want it, but it simply won't replace 5v5, and that's the hard truth. Whether we like it or not, Overwatch is a completely different game now, and Blizzard are not about to undo that just because people are complaining too much. Now, I'll admit this isn't the most common request I see amongst players, but asking them to revert the game back to the way it was is just silly and unreasonable. We're not going back to Overwatch 1. People need to accept that. Before I move on,
I don't maybe like the idea. I don't think that's what he's trying to say, but it is kind of what it sounds like he's saying. He's essentially saying, doesn't matter if the game would be better for it. Blizzard's not gonna do it, so we shouldn't even like care. I feel like that's really, I think that's dumb, and I think Blizzard has shown that that's not what they think.
On to my final thoughts, I do want to bring up the benefits of 6v6 and how it might help the game in other ways though. The main thing people argue is that having a second tank adds another level of depth to the game, with more possibilities being opened up for combos and teamwork. which
Sure.
I fully agree with. It would also alleviate stress on the tank since they have a second tank to help them out whenever they need it, and it creates a lot less tension in the team overall since there's another person to help out. Also, having a tank duo or partner is just way more fun than being a solo tank, whereas the rest of the roles have a partner to help them out. 2 supports and 2 DPSs. I'm fully for a 6v6 mode becoming the norm if the community has more fun with it. It'll be a nice change of pace for people who've been playing 5v5 for a while. The reaction to Overwatch Classic just shows that people enjoy 6v6 just as much as 5v5, even if it's old ass broken Overwatch where nothing is balanced or makes sense. It's nice to see the community having fun for once after a long time of lots of people not enjoying the game as much as they used to.
That's what's most important. It's about balance. That's completely, sorry, cut that out. It's about fun. That's what the game should be prioritizing. It's about having fun over everything. And I think that I think Marvel Rivals has almost proved this in a way. Like, Marvel Rivals is like the top, like Hela and Hawkeye are like so much better than so many of the other DPSs. And you like Mantis and Luna are like, they're like, a lot of them alone pretty much like kind of box out every other support. And it's like, it doesn't matter what they do because their healing is better than everyone else. But there's a lot of different aspects of that game that just make it so it's more fun. Yes, that stuff I think should be toned down. I think everyone is saying that. But I think that this game should be prioritizing fun over everything. Because you can't expect... Overwatch is like 41 characters? I'm sorry, you can't expect all of them to be competitively viable at the same time. Now, okay, see, this is the thing. It's not even about being competitively viable. It's because I think you can make every character competitively viable. It's about you can't make every character equally as good as the other. I think that is pretty much impossible. Like, you can't somehow tell me how are they going to make Moira the same competitive strength as, like, Ana. Like, because it's either going to be Moira just provides a base level of consistent value. If you make that the same as like Ana, who's maybe not as consistent, but like has those highs and has that utility and has all these strong aspects to her, you're going to make more. Like, that is not fun if Moira is super fucking broken. Like, the game, like, the balance is, I feel like I don't like that word. No, like, I feel like with how much I've heard Overwatch players complain about balance, I think I've just realized more and more it is quirks of the format. Like, it really is. It really is quirks of the format. And I feel like if you look at Marvel Rivals and look at how all 3 roles are defined so easily, like tank, you tank damage, you do damage, support, you support. And, well, most of the supporting is healing, and, well, that is, like, some arguably less fun or maybe more fun. It's whatever. They're much more defined, and in Overwatch, it's a lot of characters have become almost like generalists, and it's like they can all do everything. Like, and it's a weird thing because I feel like it's language players don't want to hear about, that you want some of your personal impact to be taken away. That's not what I'm saying, but that almost kind of is with the way Blizzard is implementing that needs to be taken away. And I think a lot of that would be fixed in the 6v6 one.
I will say personally, even though I enjoy 5v5, I won't deny the team comp feels a little more complete with a second tank, which may be another reason a lot of people were having more fun with Marvel Rivals and are still having more fun with it now, even after the new season drops. The biggest issue with these latest patches are either doing changes that literally nobody asked for, or not doing what is actually good for the game unless it's an issue that takes priority, like a character being extremely broken in a new patch. The people they should listen to are the ones who have been dedicating lots of time and energy into the game for years. I understand they want to please everyone, but that's simply not going to be possible in a game like this. You're just going to have to pick your poison. Different levels of skill will offer different perspectives on what should be done for the game to get better, but different levels of skill also indicate levels of experience. Pandering to people who are not good at the game is one of the fastest ways to kill any online game. Of course, you can argue the difference between balancing a game for competitive and balancing a game for casual, which is kind of the difference between Marvel and Overwatch when you think about it. There's lots of work to be done before Overwatch can reach its missing potential, but regardless of that, it's still a fun game at the end of the day. Even if you don't enjoy the game right now, if the game wasn't fun at all for anybody, then no one would be playing it. It's really that simple. People can still enjoy a game they have problems with, and that probably represents.
You could argue though that the hero shooter game, like it's almost like if PUBG was the only battle royale, but it had all of these issues, I still love the battle royale concept, like on paper. Like I love being dropped and it's kind of like me versus 100 other players or something like that. I love that game, and because that's the only game that's out there, I'm gonna play that. This is the thing where Marvel Rivals is the first game that is actual like competition. Like Marvel Rivals is like the Fortnite for PUBG.
Of the player base right now, including me. I don't play as much as I used to, but I enjoy the game much more now whenever I do because of that. I wanted to make this video because I feel like the community has been steering the conversation in the wrong direction, and it results in continued dissatisfaction after the results of that doesn't go the way we want it to. I'm not placing all the blame on the community, of course. Like I said, the team makes very questionable changes all the time, and those changes deserve to be called out. But there's still some responsibility on the player base too. Too much negativity is being spread out about Overwatch because it's not what it used to be, and making video essay number 5,000 about why the game has fallen off or why it's bad is sadly way more profitable now. That type of behavior is really
negativity
and doesn't
is really
help
fucking
in fixing
annoying.
anything.
It really
Instead
does
of
piss
doing
me
that
off.
above all else, this video is about how the game can be better. That's what we should be talking about. 6v6 won't fix Overwatch, but it'll probably make the game just a little more fun.
What?
I haven't seen this yet.
Chat. Wait, did he not just answer the question though? Because it will be more fun. It will be more fun. That I think 66 does fix a big part of the game. Okay, let's scroll down. Let's scroll down the comments. I'm curious what the comments have to say. 6v6 won't save Overwatch. Classic Overwatch is the most played game mode. That's why they don't. Or Kiriko is the first problem. Okay. Nothing can save Overwatch now since Marvel Rivals actually showed us what a passionate dev team really is. That's stupid as fuck. Copium. I think the dev team is very passionate. They don't have the resources Marvel Rivals does. Hero design ruined the game, and so did 5v5. 6v6 will mostly save it. I don't know if I think the hero design has been pushed into a negative way, but I think that 5v or 6v6, where the ideas of each role are much more defined, I think it will help it a lot. A lot of the issues you addressed are the fault of the 5v5 format. The biggest one being the counter swap meta. Agreed. That simply goes away when there are two tanks. It doesn't go away, but you get a lot less value from counter swapping a D.Va as Zarya in the 5v5 format. Yep. Tanks being overpowered is also a format issue that is solved in 6v6. Tanks don't need to be good when there are two of them, but they're... You can't really say that Overwatch has more problems than the format when the format causes half the problems you addressed. I think this comment is low-key. This comment, I think, is kind of spot on a little bit. I think this is a good video. You don't have to agree, but I think that there was a lot of I'm gonna leave a like. Definitely, the video was I think it was a good. This guy stinks. Okay, that's bro. He's saying his opinion, bro. Like, you don't need to agree with the opinion, but like, what is it? I don't know. I don't even know what I was fucking saying. You're half in the fact that the Bounds team is dog shit, but 6v6 is 100% in the right direction because a lot of characters were created for 6v6 and those characters became fundamentally broken in the 5v5 format. The game itself becomes fundamentally broken. I think like 5v5 is just such a different game than 6v6. Like, I think the change from 6v6 to 7v7 is nowhere near as big as losing a tank. To be honest, I think the big problem is the fact that every new hero has more abilities than the previous one, moving from Life Reaper onward. Current patch rework, but I mean, I don't think that this is necessary. I think he's more talking about power creep. I agree there is a degree to power creep, and I feel like that's just going to happen. Like, characters do need to be hyped. You know, like, every character does get 3 abilities for the most part, except like Alari. Alari was a very simple support. But thank you for a thought. Versus endless rage bait or the game is dead. I'm happy to see some logic. I agree. A lot of people in these comments, it seems like they're just like they're just hating. Like, they are just hating. You guys don't want to have any like conversation about the game. I think that's what I appreciate about this video, is that I think he is open for discussion about it. Do I think a lot of his points were maybe I would disagree with? Yeah, I would disagree with a lot of stuff. Especially, I feel like in the argument, he did kind of shoot himself in the foot a little bit, because he essentially said 6v6 will make the game more fun, but it won't fix every problem. And I do agree that I think a lot of the problems and a lot of the fact that the roles are not as clear defined, and it's a lot more like supports need to be doing more damage, tanks need to have high numbers to keep up. Like, a lot of that is fixed in the 6v6 format. Like, I don't think, like, fix Overwatch. I think there's a lot of things you could say. I think, like, if you want Overwatch to be a super competitor to Marvel Rivals, I think it needs, like, there needs more content. I think they need to add more things that make the game more fun, whether that's new game modes or new aspects to the game, like pickable, like the upgrade system they had in the Junkenstein thing, something like that, something that is super unique and hasn't been really done, and like it's not a Marvel Rivals or an Overwatch. That's where I think they need to do it. That's what I think will maybe quote fix Overwatch. I think they should lean more. Let's make the game fun, and let's stop like trying to do all of this shit. Like, it's never gonna happen where you're gonna make every character balance at the same time. But anyways, I yapped for a long time. Good video. Shout out to this guy Deventerous. Been subbed to this guy for a long time. Didn't really know he made Overwatch content, but yeah, TRDR, just play Marvel Rivals. I think you can have fun in both games. I do have fun in both games, but I would be lying if I said Marvel Rivals wasn't super fun. I've put in like 40 hours into that game in the last week. But anyways, yeah, that's all I got.